Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! The Perverts Have Spoken. Episode 14. Yes, episode 14, coming off of last night's ridiculously entertaining seating of a ghost. That movie, man. Where's the Blu-ray? It's never gonna happen. But tonight I am going to review a movie that is in kind of a stark contrast to last night's movie. While last night's movie is messed up but fun and entertaining, this one is very, very grim, very cynical, very dark, and kind of hard to watch. Really, it is. And it is the movie Last House on Dead End Street. Last House on Dead End Street. Now, what is this movie about? Well, it's about a guy who got arrested for a simple drug possession and got a year in prison. And while he was in prison, he had a lot of time to think about things. And he's like, you know, if I'm going to go to jail, I'm going to go to jail for something meaningful, not some simple drug possession. And so he spent all that time thinking of things to show the world. And so he gets out, gets some people he knows together, and starts his filmmaking career. Well, he gets in touch with these guys who do underground sleazy porn flicks for rich people. But the guy, the money man, he's not getting very happy with the main director's movies. They're tame, they're samey, there's no action, there's no new angle. He wants something new, he wants something different. And he heard about this one guy. And, you know, we should give this guy a chance. So what does this guy do? Well, he shoots horror movies. And the violence and death are very realistic. And spoiler alert, they're realistic because he's actually killing people. Yep, he is making snuff films. And when his film partners decide to try to cut him out and take all credit for his work, well, you know, revenge is best served while being recorded on... Well, I was about to say video, but actual film, because this is back in the 70s. So actual film, people. So that's basically what it is this sort of narrative of this guy who thought, hey, this is different, this is something to show the world. And it's really, really dark, nasty. The whole... how they shot the film, very grainy, very rudimentary, really kind of gives it that sort of snuff, like this might have been the actual, you know, nightmarish scenario that happened. They could be watching a documentary for all we know. This could be one of the snuff films that he's produced. And in the end, you do get this sort of like dank little pit in your stomach feeling about like how just inhuman the whole thing is. And at the end, the narrator talks about how they have all been apprehended and are serving time in a state penitentiary for their crimes. And it just, how did people get to that point? I don't know. It's really kind of psychological in a way. And that's why I want to tell you that my overall impression of this film is going to be high, because I think on a level it inspired films that came after it. And I don't know if this is because people actually watched it, but it just felt like when I'm watching it, I'm going, well, man, that's kind of where like this movie got this idea and that movie got that idea. It felt like a groundbreaking experience, even though it was definitely not a Hollywood production. It was a exploitation film all the way, exploiting violence. And I'm thinking around that time they had this sort of I guess mythos of the snuff film that was kind of going around, and it definitely exploited that type of sentimentality out there in the horror genre. But it's visceral. The violence, while the special effects might not be great and they don't necessarily show things, just the effect of what they did and what they could do was just awesome. I mean, it is definitely a hard watch, but it is I don't want to say like a monumental achievement, but it is an emotional experience. And sometimes those are the ones that really get to you. Those are the horror movies that really creep you out and mess with your mind, because it's such a, it seems like it can't be real, but you know that, yeah, people can be that jackassery, that evil, that they would just get their kicks off of torturing and mutilating people on film and enjoy it the way that they enjoy it. And I mean, the film has its problems. Yeah, the plot jumps. I mean, there's not really much of a sense of continuity. You don't know, you feel as if like the movie progresses in about like a couple days when you hear the context of what they're talking about. Like, honestly, it's like he's introduced to the guy to make the movie, and he's got some clips that he wants the guy to review, and he's in with his wife, and he's screwing the guy's wife. And then the next scene, he's in bed with her, and he's talking about, how dare you try to cut me out, as if weeks have passed, and this was just like what they normally do, you know? But you don't really, you know, there's no, like, I guess, flow in that sort of way. And maybe part of that disjointed narrative, disjointed plot, helps give you that sort of sense of, like, what the hell is going on? That this movie might be a real movie just cut together from footage found everywhere. I mean, it could be a found footage type of film, even though it's not that. You know, it's got the music, you see the cameraman, you know it's not, but it's just the way the movie is, it gets under the skin. And for some people that would be a bad thing, because it can be considered somewhat disturbing. Now, I'm not going to say that it's like overly gory, nasty, and disgusting. There is some nastiness and some gore. I mean, I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5, just because of the, you know, the amount. But the impact of the film, at least, you know, when I view it, because there's something to be said about the older horror movies. They kind of have this dirtiness, this filthiness in the actual filming itself. That when you watch newer horror movies, they're very clean, they're very crisp. The images are really, you know, they're completely in focus. You know, it's high def. There's something to be said about, you know, the grainy, blurry, not quite up to professional standards cinematography that kind of does a better job of creeping you out, setting an atmosphere. And honestly, the beginning of the movie, the first half of the movie, is really kind of weird and kind of dull, and sort of kind of gets into the whole 70s swinger parties and the rich taboo video thing. But then it just, you know, it goes straight to the revenge snuff orama that it is. I mean, and it's not a very long film. And honestly, I would think that if it was a longer film, it probably would overstay its welcome. And it's not very explainy either. It, you know, we have no idea why these people turn so quickly. I mean, they talk about the girls that were starring in the films, just talking about like, oh, you need to get some money, you know, and maybe it's better than prostitution. And the one girl just wanted to change in her life, and she decided to do it. And then there's this guy who was a filmmaker who's down on his luck, and on the first kill, you see him like, you know, going like, "Oh, this is really happening." But at the end, he's just all gleeful and into it, and I don't even know where they got the butcher guy. Oh wait, I think I do. I think he was, yeah. He was super into it from the beginning, so never mind about that. But it just, you know, you don't really get a lot into the psyche. I mean, they try to do it with these sort of narrative things for the main character and one of the girls at the beginning, but honestly, maybe you don't need to explain it. Maybe it's more terrifying that you don't know exactly why they just embraced it. And yeah, I mean, it's a powerful film, and I thought I would talk about it, even though it's not the best production value. The acting is pretty atrocious, and I'm one of those people who are kind of gonna, you know, a strong, I guess, barrier against bad acting. But man, some of those lines, and even when you're getting tortured, they're just bad. They're just bad. And the plot, like I said, I mean, you figure it out, but the narrative itself is just broken and messed up, and there's, you know, you have to make the connections yourself, which on basic things like progression of time, really, honestly, you should do it. You should be able to like not have to rely on the audience to go, oh, this is like a couple weeks from now or something like that, or you know, or oh, this is like, you know, happening, you know, like 2 days, an hour and a half, you know, things like that. It's just me, but overall, yeah, just the experience. I would give it an enjoyment factor of about 2, but the experience, I thought, is a 4. Just I don't know. It's like it just gets there and it stays there. It's like watching Sallow or the 120 Days of Sodom. That movie is not an enjoyable movie to watch. It is a hard watch too, but you understand its brilliance and you understand the power of that film. This is a similar type of thing. Now I'm not going to put it on the level of Sallow, which is like a masterpiece in of itself. But it's, you know, I think it's kind of an underrated, unknown, under the radar film for horror fans. I mean, it is like the predecessor to the quote-unquote torture porn that has come out since. And honestly, you know, I don't like that term torture porn, but it's like that. It's like it took the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and turned it up, and perhaps that's what they wanted to do. And it just gets you. It gets you, and it's not for everyone. I can understand how some people would just find it to be trash, and honestly, I kind of had like this feeling of Flowers of Flesh and Blood, the guinea pig movie, but at least with a little bit more plot, a little bit more emotion and meaning behind it. Because like that one's just, you know, watch some guy butcher a person, which honestly felt very shallow and flat. And this one, whether or not it was intentional, felt a little bit deeper. I mean, a little bit more artistic. It fails in some aspects, but overall, it just left an impression. So I kind of went a little long with this one because it's kind of hard to describe. It's like one of those things that you just kind of have to experience. But it is definitely sticks with you for a little bit. Though, you know, that's me. Someone could watch it and forget it within an hour and a half. I mean, especially if you're like one of those hardcore super gore hounds that watch things like, you know, August Underground's Mortem or, you know, think Serbian film is tame, you would probably go and go, oh wow, that's so amateurish and dumb. And I don't know, I guess I feel like I can understand it in context. Like, you know, I can watch an older movie and really appreciate it for what it's doing because I kind of understand the time that it took place and things like that. Just like how I found the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari to be remarkable, because that's like 1919, and it's doing stuff that I would find impressive with movies more along the lines of 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know, oh, regardless, even the present day. But anyways, it's a cynical, dark, twisted, nasty movie, and I just put it out there so you can know, hey, maybe I should stay away, or maybe I should look into it. But either way, it does kind of churn a little slowly. But that's it. Last House on Dead End Street. It's not even a house. It's like a abandoned university building. Anyways, oh, spoiler alert. Oh man, I went through the whole movie. Where's that damn fucking house? Shit. Alright, anyways, that's it. I'm gonna leave it at that. And you guys stay scary, internet. And I'll see you next time. Roar.